Every single day, your body is fighting a silent war. And if you have diabetes, or even pre-diabetes, you're probably missing the 7 soldiers that could turn the tide. What if I told you that the complications everyone warns you about, the numbness in your feet, the blurry vision, the fatigue that steals your afternoons, aren't just bad luck? What if they're the result of specific vitamin deficiencies that almost no doctor tests for? And what if fixing those deficiencies could change the entire trajectory of your health? Most people get this wrong, and they keep suffering, keep worrying, keep watching their numbers climb, while the real solution has been sitting in plain sight. I'm Dr. Leonid Kim, and today I'm going to walk you through 7 key vitamins that can stop diabetic complications in their tracks. Not tomorrow, not next year, today. Stick with me. The last one is the one that pulls everything together. Here's what most people don't realize. We've been taught that diabetes is a blood sugar problem. Check your glucose, take your medication, watch your carbs, and yes, blood sugar matters. But here's the surprising part. Blood sugar is the smoke, not the fire. Think about it like this. Imagine your house has a broken pipe in the wall. Water is leaking everywhere. You can spend all day mopping the floor, checking your blood sugar, so to speak, but the real damage is happening inside the walls where you can't see it. That hidden damage? Well, it's called oxidative stress, and it's the true engine behind every diabetic complication you've ever heard of. Here's the biological mechanism most people miss. When blood sugar stays elevated, glucose molecules start sticking to proteins, fats, and even your DNA. This process is called glycation. It's like caramelizing an onion, except the onion is your blood vessels, your nerves, and your eyes. These sticky caramelized proteins are called AGEs, advanced glycation end products. And they're not just passive debris, they're actively toxic. They trigger inflammation, that internal fire we keep talking about. They stiffen blood vessels. They clog the tiny capillaries that feed your retina, your kidneys, and your fingertips. Meanwhile, your cells are drowning in free radicals, unstable molecules that bounce around like pinballs, smashing into cell membranes, damaging DNA, and accelerating aging. In a healthy body, antioxidants neutralize these free radicals. But in diabetes, the free radical production is so high that your natural defenses get overwhelmed. This changes everything, because once you understand that the real enemy isn't just glucose, but oxidative damage and inflammation, the solution expands far beyond medication. You need reinforcements, and those reinforcements are vitamins. Let's start with a vitamin so overlooked, most diabetics have never heard their doctor mention it. Vitamin B1, thiamine. Here's the shocking statistic. Up to 75% of people with type 1 diabetes and 50% of people with type 2 diabetes are deficient in thiamine. Not borderline low, deficient. And here's the kicker, standard blood tests don't catch it. By the time symptoms appear, the damage is already happening. Why does thiamine matter so much for diabetics? Thiamine is the spark plug for energy production. Every cell in your body needs it to convert glucose into usable fuel. Without it, glucose piles up in your bloodstream like traffic jammed on a highway with no exit ramps. But here's where it gets interesting. Thiamine also protects your blood vessels from glycation damage. Remember those sticky caramelized proteins? Thiamine helps prevent them from forming in the first place. It's like having a non-stick coating on your pots and pans. Sugar slides through instead of burning on. And your nerves? They run on thiamine. Literally, the myelin sheath, the protective wrapping around your nerves, is maintained by thiamine-dependent enzymes. When thiamine is low, nerves become exposed, irritated, and eventually damaged. That's the tingling, the numbness, the burning pain in your feet. Most people get this wrong. They think neuropathy is just what happens with diabetes. It's not. It's what happens when thiamine is depleted faster than you can replace it. Daily usage, 100 to 300 milligrams of thiamine daily. Not the 1.5 milligrams in a standard multivitamin. That's for healthy people. Diabetics need therapeutic doses. Take it in the morning with food. B vitamins energize, so avoid taking it right before bed. Common mistake, taking thiamine as thiamine mononitrate, the cheap, poorly absorbed form. Look for benfotiamine or thiamine pyrophosphate. These are fat-soluble forms that cross cell membranes easily and reach your nerves and blood vessels. Now let's talk about vitamin B12 and why it's absolutely critical if you're on metformin. Metformin is the most common diabetes medication in the world. It's effective, it's safe, but here's what most people don't realize. Metformin blocks B12 absorption in your gut. Studies show that up to 30% of long-term metformin users become B12 deficient within 5 years. Some research puts it closer to 40%. And B12 deficiency doesn't announce itself with a billboard. It creeps in slowly. Fatigue, brain fog, Memory slips. And then the numbness? The same numbness you might blame on diabetic neuropathy could actually be B12 deficiency masquerading as nerve damage. Here's the biological mechanism. B12 is essential for maintaining the myelin sheath, that protective insulation around nerves. Without it, nerves short-circuit, signals get garbled, pain signals fire randomly, and motor signals weaken, leading to balance problems and muscle wasting. But B12 also partners with folate to control homocysteine, an inflammatory amino acid that rises when B12 is low. High homocysteine is like sandpaper for your blood vessels. It scrapes the inner lining, creating rough patches where cholesterol and plaque accumulate. This is how diabetic vascular damage accelerates. This changes everything because protecting your nerves isn't just about blood sugar control. It's about giving your nerves the raw materials they need to repair themselves. Daily usage, 1,000 to 2,000 micrograms of methylcobalamin daily. Not cyanocobalamin, the synthetic form your body has to convert. Methylcobalamin is the active form your nerves can use immediately. Sublingual tablets or sprays absorb better than pills if you have digestive issues. Common mistake: taking B12 without also checking folate and homocysteine levels. These three dance together. If you fix B12 but ignore folate, you only solve half the problem. Now we come to vitamin D, and if you think it's just for bones, you're missing 90% of the story. Here's the surprising part. Vitamin D isn't technically a vitamin. It's a hormone, and your pancreas has vitamin D receptors all over it. Those receptors help regulate insulin secretion. When vitamin D is low, your pancreas struggles to produce insulin efficiently. Your cells become more insulin resistant. Your blood sugar climbs, but that's just the beginning. Vitamin D is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory compounds your body makes. It literally tells inflammatory genes to quiet down. It suppresses the cytokines, the chemical messengers that keep that internal fire burning in your blood vessels, your kidneys, your eyes. And here's a statistic that should make every diabetic sit up straight. A meta-analysis of 18 studies found that people with the lowest vitamin D levels had a 43% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to those with adequate levels. And among people already diagnosed, low vitamin D was associated with faster progression of complications. Most people get this wrong. They think vitamin D is optional, a nice to have for winter blues. For diabetics, it's non-negotiable. It's infrastructure. Daily usage, 4,000 to 10,000 IU of vitamin D 3 daily, taken with a meal containing fat. Vitamin D is fat-soluble. It needs dietary fat to absorb properly. Take it with your largest meal of the day. Common mistake, taking vitamin D without magnesium. Your body needs magnesium to convert vitamin D into its active form. Without magnesium, vitamin D can accumulate in your blood but remain inactive, like having gasoline in the tank but no spark plug. Speaking of magnesium, this isn't technically a vitamin, but no discussion of diabetic complications is complete without it. Magnesium is involved in over 300 biochemical reactions in your body. And for diabetics, it's absolutely critical for 3 reasons. First, insulin function. Insulin can't work properly without magnesium. The insulin receptor, the docking station on your cells where insulin attaches, requires magnesium to open the glucose channel. Low magnesium equals insulin resistance, even if your pancreas is pumping out plenty of insulin. Second, blood pressure and heart rhythm. Magnesium relaxes blood vessels. It calms the electrical system of your heart. Diabetics have a dramatically higher risk of cardiovascular disease, and magnesium deficiency is a major, underappreciated contributor. Third, nerve protection. Magnesium regulates calcium entry into nerve cells. Too much calcium flooding in, nerves fire erratically, pain signals scream. Magnesium acts as the gatekeeper, keeping calcium in check and nerves calm. Here's the shocking statistic. Up to 80% of people with type 2 diabetes are magnesium deficient. Why? High blood sugar causes your kidneys to dump magnesium into your urine. You're literally flushing it down the toilet. This changes everything, because you can take all the insulin sensitizing drugs in the world, but if you're magnesium deficient, your cells still can't hear insulin signal. Daily usage, 400 to 600 milligrams of magnesium glycinate or magnesium threonate daily. Glycinate is gentle on the stomach and absorbs well. Threonate crosses the blood-brain barrier and specifically supports nerve and brain health. Take it in the evening. Magnesium is calming and can improve sleep quality. Common mistake, taking magnesium oxide, the cheapest form found in most drugstore supplements. It has about 4% absorption. You're basically buying expensive laxatives. Now let's talk about vitamin C and why diabetics need it in amounts that would make a fruit salesman blush. Vitamin C does something almost magical for blood vessels. It helps your body produce collagen, the structural protein that keeps artery walls strong and flexible. Without adequate vitamin C, blood vessels become brittle, prone to cracking and plaque buildup. But here's where it gets interesting. Vitamin C and glucose compete for the same transport system into your cells. When blood sugar is high, glucose wins the race. Vitamin C gets left outside, knocking on the door. This means diabetics need more vitamin C than healthy people just to achieve the same cellular levels. And vitamin C is also a powerful antioxidant. It neutralizes those free radicals bouncing around like pinballs, smashing into your capillaries, your retina, your kidney filters. It puts out the internal fire. Most people get this wrong. They think an orange a day is enough. For a healthy person, maybe. For a diabetic, not even close. Daily usage, 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C daily split into 2 doses. The body can only absorb so much at once. Morning and evening works best. Look for buffered or liposomal vitamin C if regular ascorbic acid upsets your stomach. Common mistake, taking vitamin C at the same time as metformin. Vitamin C can interfere with metformin absorption. Separate them by at least 2 hours. Vitamin E is your cell membrane's bodyguard. Every cell in your body is wrapped in a fatty membrane. That membrane is vulnerable to oxidation, especially when blood sugar is high and free radicals are rampant. Vitamin E sits in that membrane, sacrificing itself to neutralize free radicals before they can tear the membrane apart. It's like a security guard taking a bullet so the building stays safe. But here's the surprising part. Vitamin E also improves insulin sensitivity. Studies show that vitamin E supplementation can reduce markers of oxidative stress and improve glucose control in people with type 2 diabetes. And your eyes? The retina is packed with fragile fatty membranes. Vitamin E protects those membranes from the oxidative damage that leads to diabetic retinopathy, the leading cause of blindness in working-age adults. This changes everything, because protecting your cells isn't just about lowering blood sugar. It's about armoring the cells against the sugar that remains. Daily usage, 400 IU of mixed tocopherols daily. Not just alpha-tocopherol, the synthetic isolated form. Your body evolved to use the full family of vitamin E compounds. Mixed tocopherols provide that spectrum. Take with a fat-containing meal. Common mistake, taking high-dose synthetic vitamin E long-term without mixed tocopherols. Some studies suggest isolated alpha-tocopherol can actually increase oxidative stress by depleting other forms of vitamin E. Nature packages these together for a reason. All right, I promised you 7, and I saved the most powerful for last. Alpha-lipoic acid, ALA. It's not technically a vitamin, but it's so essential for diabetics that I include it in every protocol. Here's why ALA is different from every other antioxidant we've discussed. Most antioxidants work in one place. Vitamin C in the watery parts of your cells. Vitamin E in the fatty membranes, ALA. It's both water-soluble and fat-soluble. It works everywhere. It's the special forces operator that can parachute into any environment and get the job done. But that's not even the best part. ALA can regenerate other antioxidants. When vitamin C gets used up fighting free radicals, ALA recharges it. When vitamin E sacrifices itself, ALA brings it back to life. It's the battery pack for your entire antioxidant defense system. And here's the statistic that made me start every diabetic patient on ALA immediately. A landmark study published in the journal Diabetes Care found that 600 milligrams of alpha-lipoic acid daily reduced diabetic neuropathy symptoms by 50% over 3 weeks. Not months, weeks. Burning pain, numbness, tingling, all cut in half. Other studies have replicated this with similar results. How? ALA improves blood flow to nerves. It reduces oxidative stress in nerve tissue. And it actually helps regenerate nerve fibers that have been damaged by chronic high blood sugar. Most people get this wrong. They think neuropathy is permanent. It's not. Nerves can heal. Slowly, yes. But they can heal if you give them the right tools. Daily usage, 600 milligrams daily, split into 2 doses of 300 milligrams. Morning and evening. Take on an empty stomach for best absorption. The R-lipoic acid form is more biologically active than standard alpha-lipoic acid, but it's also more expensive. Standard ALA works well for most people. Common mistake, giving up after 2 weeks. Nerve regeneration takes time. The pain relief can start quickly, but the structural repair takes months. Consistency is everything. Now, let me give you the practical framework. Because taking 7 supplements randomly is like having 7 musicians who've never rehearsed together. You need a conductor. morning with breakfast. Thiamine, B1, 100 to 300 milligrams. Vitamin C, 1000 milligrams. Vitamin D3, 4000 to 10,000 IU with fat in your meal, midday with lunch. B12, methylcobalamin, 1000 micrograms. Vitamin E, mixed tocopherols, 400 IU, evening before bed. Magnesium, 400 to 600 milligrams. ALA, 300 milligrams. Morning and evening, empty stomach. ALA, 300 milligrams each time, total 600 milligrams daily. Important note, space vitamin C and metformin by at least 2 hours. Take B12 with food if your stomach is sensitive. Take magnesium at night for its calming effect. Here's what most people get wrong. They buy cheap synthetic versions of these nutrients and wonder why they don't feel different. Quality matters. Form matters. Your body knows the difference between a nutrient it can use and one that just passes through. Let me bust the myths I hear constantly. Myth 1, vitamins just make expensive urine. Wrong. That's a lazy soundbite. Yes, water-soluble vitamins you don't need get excreted. But if you're deficient, which most diabetics are, you're not making expensive urine. You're filling a bucket that has a hole in the bottom. The urine story is what people who don't understand biochemistry say to feel smart. Myth 2. My doctor would tell me if I needed these. Most doctors are trained in acute care, not nutritional biochemistry. They manage blood sugar. They don't typically test for intracellular vitamin levels. And standard blood tests catch severe deficiencies, not the suboptimal levels that drive complications. You need to be your own advocate. Myth 3. Supplements replace medication. No, supplements support medication. They fill gaps that medication creates, like metformin depleting B12. They protect tissues that medication doesn't reach. They work alongside your treatment, not instead of it. Never stop prescribed medication without consulting your doctor. Common mistake, taking everything at once. Your body can only absorb so much at a time. Splitting doses improves absorption and maintains steady levels throughout the day. Common mistake, expecting overnight miracles. These nutrients rebuild tissue, repair nerves, and restore function. That takes weeks to months. The goal isn't a quick fix. It's stopping the progression. It's changing the trajectory. Let me leave you with one number. A comprehensive study tracking over 6,000 people with diabetes found that those with the highest intake of antioxidant vitamins, specifically C, E, and the B complex, had a 67% lower risk of developing severe diabetic complications over 10 years compared to those with the lowest intake. Same disease, different nutrient status, completely different outcomes. This changes everything because it proves that diabetes doesn't have to be a one-way street toward complications. Your body wants to heal. It has the machinery. It just needs the raw materials. So here's where we started and here's where we end. You were told diabetes is about blood sugar. I showed you it's about oxidative stress, inflammation, and the nutrients your body desperately needs to fight back. You were told complications are inevitable. I showed you that 7 specific nutrients, thiamine, B12, vitamin D, magnesium, vitamin C, vitamin E, and alpha-lipoic acid, can change the entire game. Most people get this wrong because they wait for permission. They wait for their doctor to mention vitamins. They wait for a magic pill. Meanwhile, the internal fire keeps burning, the nerves keep fraying, the vessels keep stiffening. You don't need to wait. You need to act. You need knowledge, quality nutrients, and the patience to let your body repair. If this video opened your eyes to what's really happening inside your body, hit that like button. Not for me, for the next person YouTube will show this to. Someone who's been told their numbness is permanent. Someone who's been blaming themselves for numbers they can't control. Your like tells the algorithm this person needs hope. Subscribe if you want more videos where I translate complex science into simple, actionable steps. No fear, no gimmicks, just the truth your body needs. Drop a comment below. Which of these 7 surprised you the most? Which are you already taking? And which are you adding? I read every comment, and your questions shape what I cover next. And if you know someone with diabetes who's been struggling, who's been scared, who's been told there's nothing more they can do, share this video. Be the person who hands them the map they didn't know existed. I'm Dr. Leonid Kim. Take care of your health.